I keep saying this over and over and over, that the money and fortunes are going to be made in microcap stocks because of how hard they sold off. I mean, look at this. Charbone went down 91%, and now it is coming back. It's up almost 200%. Why? Well, people got crazy, and the company continues to execute. Today, they had a press release saying that Charbone received non-binding cash offer to sell interest in American hydro products, so dams, for the amount of $725,000. You see, this is very important because in this report that I wrote, and if you didn't read the report, click on the link below, I talked about how Charbone, when I was doing my due diligence on Charbone, I wanted to cry until I came to this one press release. This press release that said the company is announcing a change in its development and its development strategy to focusing all technical and financial resources towards green hydrogen rather than hydro power production. Because you see, before their strategy was, we want to produce green hydrogen, but we want to be completely integrated. To produce green hydrogen, remember, you need electricity that comes from renewable sources. So they wanted to own power plants that produce electricity, right? But that's capital intensive, and their financials looked horrible. So when they announced this press release saying we're going to change and we're going to pivot just on green hydrogen production, everything changed. And today's press release, it just shows you that they are continuing to do this, because here, hydro projects, this is the dams that they had, and they told us that they were going to monetize them. And here it is, a press release this morning saying that they have an agreement to sell them for $725,000 US. That strengthens the balance sheet, and that takes us closer to green hydrogen production. Also in this report, I talked about how to complete phase one of Sorrel Tracy, it takes $3 million, but they already paid $1 million. So they are literally short $2 million to put Sorrel Tracy in production. So selling those two dams gets you even that closer. And in the previous video that I made, I showed you how the equipment is already arriving at the location. What I also showed you in the report, how they have all these locations in Canada and United States that they want to put into production, green hydrogen production, and that's how they're going to create value. And the first project that they want to put into production is in Canada this year, this summer, and also recently they had a press release talking about how they will be putting a second project into production in the US later this year. And also in the report, I showed you how much money or how much the project is going to be worth when it's put into phase two production. And the project is expected to generate EBITDA of close to $4 million. And then I said, well, what is a project like this worth? Well, $30 million or something like that. But because half of it is going to be financed by a project financing, someone else is going to own the half, and the shareholders of Charbone are going to own the other half. And then if you multiply, so the 30 million of value, if you take half of it, that's 15 million. And if you multiply it by, let's say, 16 locations, we are talking about value creation of between 200 to 300 million. And if you look at today's market cap, this is in Canadian dollars, it's about $8 million. So you can clearly see the upside. However, what I didn't talk about in the report, because I didn't want it to sound, too optimistic, is that this is not where they're going to stop. Phase 2 is not the end of the project, right? I only show you the money for 2 phases. You know how many phases there are going to be? 5. So the EBITDA for each location is going to be much, much bigger than what you see in this report. If you like the upside based on 2 phases, you're going to love the upside based on 5 phases multiplied by, more than 10 locations. So I would suggest, if you haven't done so, to start doing some work on Charbone to figure out if this is something you want to get involved in. A good start is to read the report, familiarize yourself with it, go to Cedar Plus, get the financials, familiarize with it, study the green hydrogen, and see if this is an opportunity for you. Also, right now, you might have an opportunity because there's some selling pressure. See, if you go to the news from December, and I'm talking the news from December 7, how Charbone announced closing of a first tranche of a private placement. That was December 7th. And then on December 18th, it closed the second tranche of the private placement. The lockup on those shares, and in total, there was 10 million shares unlocked this month in April. So that's where the selling pressure is coming from. And since the beginning of this month, close to 4 million shares traded out of the 10 that unlocked. And of course, not every share from the 10 million is going to sell, but I suspect that as the company continues to perform and the stock churns through all of those shares, it could get very interesting very fast once the selling pressure is over. And of course, the company continues to execute and gets closer and closer to green hydrogen production.